We're going to talk about how to develop games without life getting in the way, coming up. What's going on, guys? My name is Tim Ruswick, and today we're going to talk about life-work balance. Because a lot of people have asked me, especially in the YouTube comments here on my channel, a lot of people have asked me, how do I make games without life getting in the way? Or they've asked me a series of different questions on how I do it, or questions that lead to basically the same question. And I found personally, there are three primary keys, 3 tips, 3 different ways that I think you develop games without life getting in the way. Because life is a sneaky bastard, right? Like, life likes to sneak up on you. Life comes at you from a random phone call from a friend you've never heard, or a tweet from some dude you like their post, or your girlfriend wants to hang out, or whatever it is, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is. Like, shit happens. Life changes up. Things that are unexpected happen. So how do you make games consistently without all this stuff getting in the way? And I found, like I said, 3 different parts. I think the first part is to schedule your project time. Now, a lot of people that I know personally, a lot of developers, not just game developers, a lot of programmers and stuff that I know, they like to do their projects in their free time. They like to say, okay, today I feel like it on Thursday night after work, I'm going to go work on this thing. Next day, they're like, I don't really feel like it, I'm not going to do that. And the problem with that is you don't always feel like working. And if you don't always feel like working, that's not a consistent way to get something done. And especially if you're looking at this longer term, like you want to build a business out of it, you want to actually get paid to do it, you want to make money off of it and have a sustainable income, you can't go on how you feel, because you're never going to feel as motivated as you need to constantly get shit done and make enough money to support yourself. It's not gonna, even with something you're passionate about. I wrote a blog post a while back called passion does not equal unlimited motivation, and it just doesn't. Just because you're passionate about something doesn't mean that you're gonna have unlimited motivation to do it forever and ever and ever. So you can't operate on the way you feel. So you have to schedule your time, and you have to look at it just like a job. You got to do that shit every Wednesday or every weekday or whatever you schedule out. You got to schedule your time. And this is especially important if you have a busy life or a busy schedule, or you are maybe not the most disciplined person on the planet. You got to look at this very seriously and treat the scheduled time just like you would going into work with your boss, or having an important meeting, or, you know, whatever is important to you. You got to think of it in those terms of scheduling your project time. Once you schedule your project time, I think the second step is to set milestones. And these have to be important milestones, and these milestones need to culminate with a reward. That's the most effective way that I've found to do it. And what I mean by that is, if you're developing, let's say, a platformer, a milestone could be getting all of the mechanics straightened out, all the run and jump and all that stuff done. Then the next milestone might be the first 10, 20 levels, or however big your shit is, whatever. The next milestone might be getting the first boss level done. But just set these incremental steps for you that are these big kind of goals in between your major goal of finishing the game, right? Like, the ultimate goal is to finish the game, but what are the big overview steps along the way? They have to be actionable, so they can't just be finish a bunch of stuff on my game. It has to be very specific and actionable. You have to be able to definitively say, yes, it's done, or no, it's not done. If you say, finish a bunch of shit on my game, how are you going to determine when that's done? Like, you have to say finish 10 levels or something, because that way when 10 levels are done, you know definitively 10 levels are done and you reach the milestone. So setting milestones with rewards. So me personally, I'm a big fan of going to movies, and I like to go to movie theaters alone. It's just something that I've always liked to do, and I'm not really sure why. I think I like the immersion of it, especially for sci-fi movies and that kind of thing. Which there's been a lot coming out this summer, so it's been awesome. But I like to reward myself with movies. And I can only go and see a movie that I want to see in a theater alone if I reach certain milestones or I get certain things done. And sometimes it takes me 2 weeks to a month to complete a milestone or whatever. So I work toward that, looking forward to the reward that I give myself. This can work without the reward. I've done it without the reward. In fact, sometimes I reach the milestone and I'm just like, I don't really feel like going to a movie. I'll continue on doing whatever. But I find that choosing to take the reward anyway and really training your brain like that, like you get something that you like out of doing stuff that you don't necessarily feel like doing, is a good way to train yourself and discipline your brain to think of these milestones as rewarding experiences rather than like a slog or like a really long, hard-ass journey. So I found that it seems to be more effective for me to take the reward anyway, even if it's something that I don't feel like doing, just going and forcing myself to do it. Because again, I think it helps my brain work better for the longer term. So you want to schedule project time, you want to set your milestones and set them up with rewards for you. And they can be whatever you're into. For me, it was movies. It could be you need a new SSD or you need whatever. Just, add rewards to the tier. And then I think the third thing is you want to track your consistency. For me, it's not just about hitting the milestones. I think the milestones help, right? Like what you guys can't see on this wall right here, I have a bunch of different sticky notes and they all have goals on them. And I like taking those sticky notes off and moving them to the other side when I reach that goal. I always get to look at my goals. I always get to look at the things that I want to do. And then I move the sticky notes over when I finish the goal. But what I found that's really effective for me is keeping track of consistency. So for example, I have an app on my phone. I think it's called Habit Bowl, or something like that. I want to create an app similar to that, to be honest, because I don't really like how Habit Bowl does it. But I think it lets you just tap on a day of the week and keep track of how consistent you are over time. I've done this with a calendar too, where if you have a full year calendar or even a month calendar, but I like to use the full year, you just cross an X for each day that you work on your game. And what I found for me is like when you get up to 7-10 days in a row and there's like a chain going, you don't want to miss a day because you're going to have to break the chain. You're going to have to break that little piece. And you're always going to have to look at that empty square no matter what if you don't do the shit that day. And so I found for me, like, it's really effective to keep track of how long I've been consistent. I've been doing this with YouTube videos, which is why I'm on day like 49 of daily videos. And it's helped me stay consistent because I'm like, okay, I want to keep the chain going. If I don't keep the chain going, it's going to be forever broken and I got to start back from zero. I got to start from video number 1 all over again and start that whole chain again. So keeping track of the consistency has really helped me. I think this has helped me more than the milestones, to be honest. Is like, I don't want to break that chain. It's like a combo move in Tekken or something. Like you want to keep going. You want to stack up as many moves as you can. And it's awesome to just watch how far you can go and how much you can do it. That has helped me tremendously. And so I recommend that if you have a calendar, that you start marking off the days that you're consistent on it and not break the chain. Or like I said, I have the app Habit Bowl, which allows you to do the same thing in an app, which I think could use some work user experience wise. Developers, if you're watching, hit me up because app's not quite there yet. But no, I think staying consistent. So those are the 3 things. Scheduling project time, setting milestones with rewards, and keeping track of your consistency. I think if you do all 3 of those, life's not going to get in the way. I mean, things are going to try and happen. Things are going to come at you, but you got to, like, when you have scheduled time, you got to make sure that you don't let things interfere. You got to put this as one of the highest priorities that you have. If you let these other things deter you and take you away from your scheduled time, you don't really have scheduled time. You have, like, an imaginary time that you sit down and just get distracted at shit. That's not scheduled time. So you got to treat it just like you're going to work. It's super important. Nobody can tell you it's not. I don't care what your spouse says or what your mom says or no matter what they say. That's your scheduled time. And if you have to, get your ass out of the house, go to Starbucks, go to Panera Bread, go to one of these other places where you can sit out, chill, work on your shit. But schedule the time. Set your milestones. Get the actionable, bigger goals set in between your finishing a game goal, and add rewards to yourself. And then third and finally, keep track of your consistency. Keep track of every single day that you do it. I like to do it 7 days a week, so I just see that chain never ending. And it's really effective to not want to break the chain for me. So that's really all there is to it. I mean, you just got to be determined. You got to make sure that this is important to you, because if this isn't important to you, if this isn't more important than some other things going on in your life, it's not going to get done. It's about priority. And if you don't have the priority to put your games over some of the other things that you want in life, you're not going to get them done, because life is going to keep interrupting you. Life's a bitch like that. It doesn't care. It keeps interrupting you. So I hope this video helped you out. If it did, please leave a comment below. I love to hear from you guys. Once again, I'm Tim Ruswick, and I'll see you guys next time.